like a giant-sized dude chasing a teeny tiny little woman through a cemetery.
It's Goliath. Yes?
Yes.
Oh.
Oh, wow.
It's the giant killer.
Who's the tiny little woman? Oh, now she's a pancake. Never mind. Welcome back, Xenites, to the Babbling Bards podcast.
A podcast made by Xenites.
For Xenites, we're your happy hosts.
I'm Liliana.
And I'm Trista. And today's episode...
Giant killer.
Are you so happy? We finally made it to your favorite episode of the entire series, Liliana.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
Who said?
Don't you remember you told me that? Like, months ago. I can't even play. I can't even kid about that.
Well, no, I didn't.
No.
That wasn't me you talked to.
This is one of those filler episodes.
Yeah.
That's like...
It's okay.
Yeah. It's how many chakrams?
I don't know. 2.5.
Oh, really? I'd give it 3.
2 3/4?
Okay. Platform 9 3/4. We do have a disclaimer attached to this episode, and I'm gonna go ahead and disclaim it now.
Okay.
Before I start offending people's religious feelings. No Bible myths or icons were irreparably mangled during the production of this motion picture. Or this podcast. Okay, now that that's out of the way.
Alrighty.
Please know that anything that I say is not meant to offend anyone.
Just a disclaimer.
Just a disclaimer. Nothing I say is meant to offend anybody. You know, I respect all religions, all walks of life. I don't care who you sleep with. I don't care which God you pray to. You know, I don't care if you believe in one God or 700. You know, that's it's your life.
Right?
It's your thing. Do what you want to do.
Exactly.
You know. So, as long as I'm not having to do it, dilly whoever you want. I don't care. So, anyway. I have, like, issues with this episode from a biblical and a historical standpoint.
Okay, do tell.
So historically, I do believe that, like, giants were a thing. Because there are still giant-sized people.
Right.
You know, they're a little scarce and rare.
Yeah.
But they are still in existence. Like the tallest man in the world.
Not Goliath size.
Not Goliath size. How tall was Goliath?
I don't know.
9 cubits high.
Okay, 9 cubics. So what would that be?
In like a little
feet?
over 8 feet tall.
Really?
Yep. A little over 8 feet.
No, we gotta be taller than that.
No. 8 feet, bordering on 9 feet. Maybe he was 9 feet, but I thought he was 8.
like the real one.
Yeah, the real Goliath.
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about the one in the episode.
No.
I was gonna say no, that's not right. Okay.
No.
So the actual Goliath, the real one.
The actual Goliath in the Bible was 9 cubits high.
Okay.
So here's the deal. Or maybe he was 3 cubits. Maybe he was 3 cubits, and the ark was 9 cubits long.
I have no idea.
I think it was 3 cubics. Anyway, whatever. No, he was 9 cubics. That's right. I was right. Don't tell me I was incorrect.
So they over-exaggerated the height.
They over-exaggerated the height.
Okay.
I want to talk a little bit about that too. But historically, the episode gives off the appearance that David and Jonathan are brothers, because you have Jonathan saying things like, "No, take me, I'm the eldest."
Right.
And they call each other brother, you know.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, friends do that too, but, like, Jonathan saying I'm the eldest, that's like a dead giveaway of, hey, you know.
Big brother.
Big brother. But they're not brothers, at least not according to the Bible. According to the Bible, Jonathan was the son of King Saul. He and David were best friends, and David actually married his sister, Michal, King Saul's daughter. There was no Sarah. Sarah was actually married to Abraham. And she was 99 years old when she gave birth to Isaac. But, yeah. So there's a little bit of biblical discrepancy with that. But also, you gotta look at it for face value, which is what it is. And it's meant for entertainment purposes to further along the Xena storyline. Right?
Right.
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 Okay.
I said right.
Okay.
All right.
As long as you're right.
Okay.
Right?
Right.
Okay.
All right.
So, we open with Xena and Gabrielle.
Walking through the giant's graveyard.
Mm-hmm.
And we learn that giants do not bury their dead.
Yeah. Which is something that really struck a chord with Gabrielle, because she's looking through, she's like, why aren't they buried? Because in ancient Greece, to not bury or cremate your family meant that they had brought you so much dishonor that they didn't deserve to be put to rest.
Right.
So.
But giants do it as a sign of honor.
That's right.
So, yeah.
And, Gabrielle's like, well, why are you meeting your friend here?
Mm-hmm.
And he's all like, well, we vowed to... We would 10 years ago. So Goliath's left Xena's army 10 years old. That's that funky time warp thing. Let's do the time warp again, everybody. Because, Lysias was killed 11 years ago. Xena turned tail and went to the dark side 11 years ago. Goliath left her army 10 years ago. And then Solon's 9 years old. So she got around, man.
Yeah.
But she tells Gabrielle that they're meeting to mourn and celebrate. And Gabrielle says, celebrate what? Because when you look at the opening, and it's again the thing we talked about in the last podcast of, anytime you have a near-death experience with Xena and Gabrielle, or anytime Gabrielle's threatened in any way, Xena always tends to open up to her more. Because of that fear of losing her, And you have this because at the very beginning, she's really opening up to Gabrielle about her past and things that she's done in the past, which is also kind of cool because you have an understanding that Xena shares things when the cameras aren't rolling with Gabrielle about her past and her history. Because Gabrielle seems to know certain things as stuff comes up. Except for, key things, Lao Ma and Akemi and, Solon. But after Solon's when they started getting the near-death experiences.
Right.
So, from Xena's perspective, with stuff happening to Gabrielle. So, you have Xena opening up at the beginning, and then she starts drawing back in, life and death, and Gabrielle notices it. She's like, I hate it when you go cryptic on me. And so, which is shown to be a growth in Gabrielle's character, because, she was like, yeah, okay, you don't want to tell me, fine. And just tra-la-la, went on her merry way. But this episode, there's actually a lot of growth from Gabrielle, which we'll talk about, too.
Okay.
But anyway.
Anywho.
And then it's your favorite part, Liliana.
What's my favorite part?
When the bard gets all scared and is ready to run away.
Okay. Because Goliath comes?
Mm-hmm.
And Xena's pretty much just like, oh, chill out. It's fine. It's just the live ones you gotta worry about.
It's the live one I am worried about. And Xena, when she sees Goliath, she's just got, this grin on her face. Like, what up? Gabrielle's all, this is your friend? Gabrielle's fighting the big scary runaway.
Yeah. They have their hellos and, hey, how you been? What you been up to?
And then you learn that Goliath's number one priority is to kill Gareth, who is another giant. He's the giant that killed his family.
Yeah.
And his family was killed because he was out defending Xena.
Yeah.
We'll find that later. Because, she was hurt and he wouldn't leave her, and his family was killed while he was there.
So he's got a bit of a grudge there.
Mm-hmm.
And a score to settle.
With Gareth, not with Xena.
Well, yeah, with Gareth. Which we will see in a later episode. Been there, done that? No, not been there, done that. A Day in the Life.
Yeah. Been there, done that. It's when Joxer's killed like 50,000 times. It's glorious.
I got my thing mixed up.
That's okay.
It's
A Day in the Life.
Day in the Life.
The one with Minya. That's enough, Minya.
I know.
Okay.
Alrighty.
Actually, while you brought that up, we'll go ahead and chitter chat. Xena was actually supposed to continue on after Goliath was killed.
Oh yeah,
and avenge him. She was supposed to go and kill Gareth.
They cut it out of this episode.
Yeah, because their time was running short.
So
they filmed the battle scene for it,
yeah,
intending to put it in this episode, and then they decided to hang on to it for a later episode.
So yeah, the stuff in A Day in the Life is actually from this episode.
And you know, it's kind of crazy because you can tell that it's for this episode, because if you look really closely at the way your camera lenses look, they were shooting previously in this episode on a different type of camera. Mm-hmm. When you go to the episode A Day in the Life, the shot's a lot clearer and everything looks a lot crisper, except for the scenes where Xena's fighting Gareth. Those are shot on the old camera they were using.
That's not in this season, is it? A Day in the Life?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, it is.
It is.
It is. Okay.
Yeah, it's right before For Him the Bell Tolls, I think.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's in this one. Okay.
Alrighty then.
Yes.
It's a few episodes later.
Just a few.
Okay. So
we cut to Gabrielle, who's, by herself, having this little inner monologue. Because Xena didn't tell her that her buddy was a giant.
Uh-huh.
And then big bad guy comes out, and of course they want to kidnap Gabrielle, because that's what happens every week.
Mm-hmm.
Gabrielle gets taken.
Right.
And big bad David
Uh-huh.
jumps into the rescue, and he gets
Leave her alone.
He gets swatted like a fly.
Right.
And Gabrielle's like, I'm not alone. They go, really?
Yeah. And then in pops Xena.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Xena always shows up when Gabrielle's in trouble. How does she know?
I don't know. I don't know. Sixth sense. Gabby senses?
Is it the soulmate connection? Is
yes.
that what it is?
Yes, that's exactly what it is.
That's such a crock of shit.
Is it?
Yeah!
Is it really?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Huh. I mean, I wondered that because, she was really... Because Xena was really into the conversation she was having with Goliath. And now, all of a sudden she's like, whoosh.
Here I come to save the day.
All the cats are gonna fight.
They're not fighting. They're just
They're
playing.
playing.
They're wrestling each other.
Hello, kittens. Willow, Mom can cuddle. But you don't want to cuddle me. I don't have enough fur. Anyway, and my ears aren't as pointy.
Okay. Anyways.
She cuddles me at nighttime. Don't cuddle Liliana.
No.
Joxer cuddles Liliana. Willow cuddles Trista.
Yep.
It's a thing.
It is.
Anyway. So, they fight.
Mm-hmm.
And then, after checking on Gabrielle, then you got Goliath that pops out and he introduces Xena.
Right.
Like, this is my buddy, Xena. And then, what's his name? Dagon? Dagon? Yeah. It's not Dagnan.
No.
I know that.
Not that.
Dagon, I think. He tells him, what am I paying you for? Do something. It's like, hey, this is my friend Xena.
Yeah. And
then, of course, she's welcome.
Yeah.
And David makes the comment, Xena, I should have known.
Should have known. But...
not thank you for coming to our rescue.
Right?
Just should have known.
So, yeah. And Dagon is just, any friend of Goliath's is a friend of the Philistines. Well, when he says that, Xena gets the look on her face like, Philistines.
Mm-hmm. But you gotta remember, too, So here's another thing with the timeline continuity that I have. And this is just me thinking.
Okay.
Probably overthinking. She acts like she's surprised that he's fighting on the side of the bad guys.
Uh-huh.
But when he left her army, she was a bad guy.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So it's, why the surprise?
I don't know.
I mean, I don't get that.
know.
It's like, she was like, whoa. Because, I mean, he obviously wasn't a good dude when he fought for you, because, I mean, she was brutal to people.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, how could she expect him to be any better? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. But anyway, I guess the amount of surprise she had just kind of, like, threw me. I was like, and you expected what, Mother Teresa? You know? Mahatma Gandhi?
What
So anyway.
So then you have Dagnan and David and Jonathan.
Getting a little verbal exchange.
Right. And this is where Jonathan says that he's the eldest son, right?
He's like, I'm the eldest son of King Saul.
And then they go on about, like, you know, this land is ours, and
you know it.
And you know it, and Dagnan goes on about how they built the land. Dagon. About
you
how...
said Dagnan that
did
time?
I?
Yeah, it's okay. It's an easy slip up.
Yeah. And he goes on about how they built the land into something. So apparently they're fighting over the land.
That's what they always fight over there. Like, if you look, even current events, if you look over at Israel and, like, the Gaza Strip during, well, I mean, there was the Gaza pullout a long time ago.
Yeah.
But if you look over at the land of Israel, the land is constantly at war with each other because they're fighting over the land. Do you know why?
Why?
They fight over the land because back in the day, there were so many blood sacrifices done at the temples, like the old school Hebrew temples. So all the blood ran down and fertilized all this land. So there's a lot of nutrients in the land for like plants and vegetation to grow. So it's the most arable source of land to be able to grow food sources. So they're always fighting over the fertile land.
Over the bloody land?
Over the bloody land. That's what they're fighting over. Because a lot of people think, oh, they're fighting over oil deposits. Oh, they're fighting over money. No, they're not. They're fighting over the ground so that they can grow food to survive is what they're fighting over. So, anyway, that's another history lesson.
Yeah.
I'm a geek. I'm going to shut up. Take it away, Liliana.
No. Don't do that.
Well, I have always thought that was interesting, you know, because, I mean, I just have to think that it's a war that's waged on and it continues. You know, like it's been going on for thousands of years.
It's crazy.
You know, over the same stuff. Like over 2,000 years now. And it's still going on over the same thing.
Why don't they just share? Jeez, people. Get along already.
Right?
Damn.
Well, and you know, their claim to it is that, like, back in the Bible, like, the Bible or Torah, you know, which is what the Jews read. You know, it's what the Jewish people, they read the 5 books of the law.
Okay.
And then, of course, you have the Quran, and then you have the Christian Bible. The first 5 books of the Bible are the books that the Jews read. They're the only books that the Jews acknowledge religiously. And, so they read those. Well, the big difference, the Bible has the story of Abraham and Isaac. But Abraham's oldest son was Ishmael. So, the Quran teaches that Abraham took Ishmael up onto the mountain to sacrifice him, and then God stopped him from killing him. And then the Christian Bible and the Jewish Bible teaches that it was Isaac that Abraham took up to kill him, the second-born son that he had. Because Ishmael was his son with the handmaiden, and then Isaac was his son with his wife. And then, nonetheless, both stories, God stops Abraham from killing him. There's a Xena episode about it.
Same scenario, different characters.
Same scenario, different characters. And so they fight, oh no, this land is ours, blessed by God, because of, you know, when Ishmael was put up on the stone, or when Isaac was put up on the stone, so they bicker back and forth about it. It always comes down to religion or politics.
I know.
Always.
Ridiculous.
But yeah, essentially, for the most part, what they're fighting over is arable land, and a good source for growing food. And they're not going to share because they come from two warring tribes.
Yeah.
Because Ishmael didn't get along with Isaac. Isaac didn't get along with Ishmael. You know? So, that's why they don't just share.
I know. It's ridiculous. The world would be a better place if everybody would just chill out. You know?
Right?
But they don't. So. But anyway. Back to Xena.
I didn't mean to get on my soapbox.
Oh, no.
Sorry.
No. Not at all. Not at all.
I read too much. I know how.
Well, good.
Okay. So.
Yes.
I don't even know where we are now. Oh, they were fighting over the land. Okay.
Yeah.
So, Xena's trying to figure out why they're fighting, and Dagon tells her that they're thieves. Right? And she's like, well, what'd they steal? He's all like, well, they were hunting on our lands. See, again, it comes back to food. You know it's going to be food when it's a dude.
Yeah.
And then, what is it that he says? That he's going to... They don't view the Israelites as a civilized people.
Right.
Dagon doesn't. The Philistines don't.
Yeah.
So, in his mind, he's going to bring civilization to the Israelites. You know, they're planning on enslaving most of them.
That's what Xena says.
Yeah.
That you're going to enslave them.
Yeah, but he tells her that no man or woman is going to be forced to work for them. They can go their own way if they wish, but the only catch is they go their own way and they don't have any supplies. They don't have anything to sustain life with because they don't get food, they don't get land, they don't get homes, they don't get anything unless they agree to be slaves to the Israelites.
Right.
Which is essentially forcing them to do it. They just don't capture them and, you know. And then he tries to convince Xena to come work for him, and she just shoots him down.
Nope, not interested. And then she's, you know, reserves her help for those who need it. Yeah.
And she tells Gabrielle, she's like, I think Goliath and I need to talk.
Need to have a little talk. And then we have
the fellas that have been
prisoners.
Captured. Yeah.
Trying to hide their little hole that they're digging, which obviously they didn't do a very good job.
No.
I mean, they're throwing the dirt out the little
out the
bars.
window, yeah.
I mean, obviously it's going to be noticed. At least in the Black Wolf, they tried scattering it within the cell.
Yeah. They'd already broken through. Also, I think that's what caused the soldiers to know what they were doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because in this scene, you got Gabrielle coming in. You know, she's wanting to talk to the prisoners. And we have an oopsie in this scene. You want to tell them what it is?
With the hands?
Yeah.
They're on the bars and then they're not?
It's huge continuity error.
It's like when you cut from scene to scene. It's like her hands are on the bar and then they're not. And then they're on the bars again and then they're not.
We're watching it and I'm telling Liliana, look, Ma, no hands! Look, Mom, hands!
They're there and then they're not. And then they're there again and then they're gone again. So, yeah.
And then the guard, when he comes in and he realizes that they're trying to escape, this is after Gabrielle's all swoony because she's discovered that David's a writer. And she's a bard, and bards tell stories, and writers tell stories, so she gets all doe-eyed again.
Yeah.
And, it's funny because that actually plays into her, growing up a little. Which we'll talk about when I get to my little subtext corner in a little while. But, she, finds out he's a writer, and then the guard comes in,
Guard comes in.
He's like, punishment for trying to escape is death.
Of course it is.
Yeah. And you have a heart-to-heart with Xena and Goliath.
I mean, and he's just doing it for the money so he can get enough to go
after Gareth.
So, yeah.
Yeah. And Xena's trying to, play towards his conscience, because she's like, what you're doing is wrong. He's like, what I'm doing is my job.
Yeah.
And she tells him, no, you're blind. What did she say? You're blinded by hatred.
Mm-hmm.
And then she asks him to help her break the prisoners out. And he makes the comment, that's when you can see that there's still a little bit of bitterness in Goliath because of what he was doing when his family was killed. Because he tells Xena, I think I've helped you out enough for one lifetime.
Yeah.
She tells him, I owe you my life, not the lives of others. So, we go and Gabrielle's trying persuasively to talk
talk him out of killing the Israelites.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the prisoners. And she's just like, it's all a misunderstanding,
I just brought him food.
He's all, well, accepting food I can forgive, but conspiring to escape, is different. So, and then they,
this is where Jonathan pops up. I'm the eldest, take me!
Right, because he's all like, oh, we'll just kill one of you,
Take
the little one.
The
little one. And then, that's where he pops up. I'm the eldest, take me. And then, no. So they put David on the little stump.
The executioner's block, yeah.
The stump. And then Gabrielle, being Gabrielle, throws herself on top of him, oh, you'll just have to kill us both. He's like, okay.
David's like, are you crazy? And she's like, no, I know what I'm doing.
I got this.
And then
Don't
when
worry.
he says, okay, we'll kill you both, she's like,
what?
And she pops up, and then as the executioner's poising to chop her head off, Xena shows up.
Of course.
And then we got a oopsie. I showed it to Liliana.
Go for it.
She wasn't as thrilled about it as I was. But look at the table that the executioner falls into. It's got the loaves of bread and like the skins on it and everything else.
Uh-huh.
And then he falls down through it and he breaks it.
Yeah.
Well, in the middle of the fight, the soldier that Gabrielle smacks with her staff, and he goes careening back into the table. It's the same table. It magically put itself together, reset itself with the loaves of bread and the skins on it, shot itself from a different angle, and boom. So it's another continuity oopsie. There were a lot of continuity oopsies in this one.
Yeah.
But probably because it's filler. That's a big thing with a lot of the filler episodes is they don't catch everything because they're like their modest budget episodes,
Right.
They don't have a lot of the crew members to go through and shoot. And this one they really had to work on a budget because they used forced perspective in this episode. Which is really hard and difficult to get right. Because what it is, you have actors all on this line. Just one line. And they look like they're on the same line bias. But if you pay attention, you can actually see that they run parallel. And the one that's supposed to look larger, like Goliath, is standing closer to the lens than everybody else is. Well, it's hard, especially when you're doing motion scenes and this and that, to be able to use forced perspective. So they put a lot into their quote-unquote special effects, a lot of time and a lot of money and energy into it, so they don't exactly have enough funding to scrutinize the entire cutting room floor, So, editing suffered a little bit, I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
Alrighty.
Your turn.
So, they return to King Saul, right?
Yes.
So, he's grateful that they're saved. or safe, or whatever. He didn't know what happened to them, right? He didn't know they were captured.
No.
Okay.
I find it ironic because King Saul in the Bible tried to have David killed multiple times.
Oh.
Because he became demonically possessed in the Bible.
King Saul?
Yeah. He became demonically possessed, and the only thing that could soothe him was the sound of David playing his harp. But he kept trying to have David killed because he got jealous, and then once he got jealous, he became possessed by a spirit sent from Satan or what have you. And so it cracks me up that they made David Saul's son in this one. It really does. It makes me laugh, but because I mean, you're gonna kill your own son-in-law.
Yeah.
It's I don't know.
Alrighty, so yeah, he's grateful that Xena and Gabrielle saved them. And then we have Dagon again? Not Dagon. Dagon. Yeah. And Goliath. So, like when that whole fight was going on, they kept blowing the horn to call for Goliath, and he's just hanging back in the trees watching. and
watching as their butts get handed to them.
Right.
Because I really don't think Goliath had it in his heart to want to fight for the Philistines.
Yeah. I mean, he didn't want to hurt them. He didn't want to hurt Xena. So he just stepped back and watched.
And Dagon's all, I thought you said she was your friend. And he's like, she is. And he's all, she let the enemy escape.
Yeah. And then, he's like, if I didn't, know any better, I think you were thinking of backing out. And he's all like, well, what if I am? And then this is where Dagon, pretty much
tells him he'll tell him he'll double what he's paying him.
Yeah.
And then he waves the fact, I know where Gareth is.
He waves the Gareth card, yeah. And so...
And then you see the bloodlust from Goliath.
Yeah. So that's kind of sad. I mean, he's willing to kill Xena because of that. I mean, and it's been, 10 years? Mm-hmm. But he's willing to throw all that away for revenge, pretty much.
Yeah. Then you got a talk between Gabrielle, Jonathan, and Xena. Because they're talking about, how they're gonna best the other army. And, Xena's like, well, every giant has a weak spot.
Yeah.
And that's when we find out that the area between the eyes
is a giant's weak spot.
It's the giant's weak spot. It's their Achilles heel.
Yeah.
And she tells Jonathan, you're going to have to put me against Goliath. And Jonathan makes the comment to her, well, it's a suicide mission.
Yeah.
And she's all like, well,
every opponent has his weakness.
So,
and she knows what the giant's weakness is. So.
All I need is a clear shot. And so Jonathan's going to send a messenger out. And David tells Xena, like, but he's your friend. And she's like, and he's fighting on the wrong side, and he knows. So Goliath knows her well enough to know that regardless of how hard it is, she'll do whatever she needs to do.
Right.
And I think he prepared for that, Just like he told Dagon in the scene before, I know how to do my job.
Yeah.
So they both understand that it's business. It's what needs to be done, not necessarily what they want to do. Then you have doe-eyed Gabrielle.
And David. Talking bard stuff,
yeah. And David's like, oh, you wouldn't know what a psalm was. Yeah. Gabrielle's like, well, it's a religious poem.
Yeah. Well, she said that earlier.
Did she?
Yeah.
That was earlier. In the cell. That's right.
Yeah. But, so, yeah, I mean, he was there writing, so, she's like, oh, you're writing one of your psalms? And then he said that he was actually recording what happened that morning with the fight in the Philistines, right?
And it's funny because Jonathan's his best friend, his brother in this one. And all of his are about Jonathan's exploits. And all of Gabrielle's stuff is about Xena's exploits.
Right.
Except for that morning, because she was starting to write one about David. Mm-hmm. And I think I talked to you about it in one of the other podcasts about how it cracked me up because Renee O'Connor can't sing to save her life. She actually, when she tries, like you can hear in like the Last Dance convention that she did, she doesn't have a bad voice. It's just pitchy at times. But a lot of that I think is because it's not trained either, you know.
Yeah.
But cracks me up that she can't sing, but that a bard doesn't so much speak and tell stories. They sing them. Because if you'll notice, like, most of Gabrielle's stuff, when she's reading something she's written, you know, except for the ones that are, like, titled after the episode, like that Joxer reads her and stuff like that, they start out, I sing of, you know.
I sing of David, the warrior poet of Israel.
Yeah. He gets all choked up.
He's like, that was beautiful.
Yeah. And then you got Gabrielle just gets like this look on her face and she's all, thank you. And then in comes Sarah. And David introduces her. Tells her they're going to be married.
Right. And she's like, oh, how nice.
And then she, you know. And this is where part of our subtext kicks in because her immediate thought after that is Xena. Oh yeah, Xena.
I should be going.
But that's what somebody pointed out on one of the forums was, you notice how David mentions, oh, we're going to be married next spring, and then she goes, oh, Xena. Xena's probably wondering where I am.
Yeah.
Then you have one of, like, the funniest scenes in this episode. You got Gabrielle walking out. Dumb.
She's kicking herself for...
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then she, this was another one of the things on one of the subtext forums where Gabrielle, you know, notices that something's troubling Xena. So she forgets the whole thing with David. She forgets what she's feeling and she goes to comfort Xena.
Yeah.
You know, she drops everything else and they're like, you know, that's a sign of her maturing, you know, but it's also symbolic of her saying, okay, you know, no more flavors of the week.
Yeah. This
is what's in front of me. This is what I've got right now. And this is where my heart is, honestly. So they have this little exchange about it being like, and there's a little hand holding in this scene.
Yeah. Xena
There's the small of the back that you pointed out to me in this scene.
And then this is where Xena tells Gabrielle about what happened when Goliath's family was killed.
Right. Yeah. But yeah, this is where Xena starts opening up a little more. So that Gabrielle has like a little bit of insight. And she's just stunned that he left his family.
Yeah, he left his family to go help Xena. And she did tell him to, you know, to go.
She said she yelled at him to go.
She yelled at him to go, but he refused. And while he was helping her, that's when Gareth went and killed his family. So yeah.
I mean, Xena owes Goliath pretty deep.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But she also has the obligation to herself now to, you know, make things that she did right.
And then, the next scene is where they fight, right? Xena and Goliath?
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
And then we see that souped up helmet that Goliath has on his head.
So they all get like, oh shit, look on their face. Like, oh, damn.
Because the plan that they've gone is to go, you know, between the eyes.
Right.
That's where he'll be weakened.
Right.
But that little dip comes right between where they need to get to.
Right. And so while Goliath is chasing Xena around, I mean, the Philistines kind of do a little sneak attack
Jonathan's killed in the process.
Yeah.
And that was another thing. Jonathan wasn't killed, biblically speaking. Jonathan wasn't killed in the battle with Goliath. Yeah. Jonathan was killed much later in a separate battle with the Philistines.
Yeah.
But Goliath tells Xena, come out! You know. Xena pops out and she throws a bag of salt in his face.
Yeah.
And he's all, oh!
I thought that was kind of funny.
It was. And then we've got Gabrielle, who's taking care of the wounded, and they tell King Saul that Jonathan's dead.
Yeah.
And then that's when Xena realizes that she can't be the one to kill Goliath, because now the people need a new leader to look up to.
So yeah. So
and she tells Gabrielle, look, I can't kill him, and then leave.
Yeah.
Because that leaves them with no hope.
Yeah. Then you have David, so Xena and David were on the same page, because he's all like, yeah, I can't let you do it, I have to do it.
Yeah.
Because my people need a leader. Isn't that what he said?
Yep.
Something like that. But yeah. So Xena's pretty much like, it's exactly what I was thinking.
Yep. She doesn't say that, but she
doesn't, but yeah.
She thinks it.
Yeah.
And then you have Goliath having a little soliloquy with his family. It's not a full-on soliloquy, because soliloquy.
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 What the heck is that?
It's essentially one character having an in-depth conversation about something they're feeling emotionally to somebody they connect on an emotional level to. But it's just one. It's not like a monologue, because monologues are explanatory.
Yeah.
Soliloquies are personal.
Okay.
But all you hear is him, telling them, oh, I'll avenge your deaths. Usually soliloquies are much longer. But that's what I would classify it as, anyway.
Yeah. So, Xena and Goliath, they're pretty much like, I don't want to kill you. Well, I don't want to kill you either. But they're going to do what they need to do.
Mm-hmm. And Xena's trying to appeal to Goliath's sense of love for his wife, because she tells him, your wife wouldn't want you. Mm-hmm. Right. To kill me or to do what you're doing, and he tells her, no, she wasn't. She was peace-loving and forgiving, and now she's dead. Mm-hmm. And then he, turns around and spins it on Xena. I was dead because I wasn't there for my family.
Yeah.
And then he tells her, they're standing in my way of getting to Gareth.
Right.
And they're like, you were a good friend, and he's like, so were you. See you on the battlefield.
Yep.
Then you got an exchange between Gabrielle and David.
David, I believe so.
Because he thinks Gabrielle's avoiding him, and she kind of has been.
Yeah.
Because, she's embarrassed herself. Dum, 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 dum.
Dum, dum, dum. So, yeah. And then he's like, isn't he like preparing himself to go up against Goliath? Because he's getting his little slingshot. Mm-hmm. And
yep.
He's like, well, this is my best weapon.
And she's like, that's never gonna work. And he's all, well, when you put your faith in the Lord. Mm-hmm. And she's like, well, this one God concept's new for me, so.
This is all new stuff.
And so he gives her a little Sunday school lesson about God being greater than Zeus and all the other gods.
Yeah. And then he hands her his psalms, right? Mm-hmm. Because, just in case he doesn't make it out.
He wants somebody to remember them.
Right.
Because she told him that, what was the point of being a writer if nobody saw your work? Mm-hmm. Because they're meant to be told.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he started writing them down.
Yeah. And then he just wrote a new one.
Psalm 23.
Psalm 23. Yeah.
And Liliana makes fun of me.
Why?
During this scene, because I just start quoting the whole thing.
Even after they finished, she was still going.
Well, because they interrupt, thou preparest a table before me.
Thou preparest my table for... And you continued with the rest of it.
In the presence of mine enemy. Thou anointest my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy will follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever.
Okay.
I'm in.
So yeah. So he wanted her to read it, but she's like, well, no, It's
best to hear it from the author.
From the
but
author.
He hadn't written that one down yet. that was one that he just decided to recite, because he says, I just thought of it before you walked up.
Okay, so now we're on the battlefield again. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And Xena's all like, if this works, I lose a good friend.
Yeah.
And he's like, how good of a friend is he? Because this is literally the first time we've seen or heard of him. You know? Anyway.
He was 10 years ago.
Yeah. But Gabrielle, it's kind of funny here because she's concerned for Xena. She's all, how are you doing?
Yeah.
And, she tries to tell Xena, well, he made his choice. And Xena's like, I know. Like, I know. I understand.
Mm-hmm.
But it still hurts.
Yeah.
Which Gabrielle also understands.
Yeah.
And then the weather's cloudy.
Yeah.
So Xena's all, hey, you might want to mention the weather to him.
Yeah, she says that to David, because he's there praying. Which I'm assuming he's there praying.
I'm assuming he is too, because it's either praying or meditating pretty strongly.
Yeah, yeah. And then out come the soldiers, and they're pretty much laughing, because, puny little David going up against giant Goliath.
Mm-hmm.
I mean...
But when the sun comes out...
They all... flash
They raise their
shields, reflect the light off their shields onto the helmet.
And we can't tell if it's like burning his head
Sizzling.
or if it's blinding him or what.
It kind of sounded like a sizzle.
Like it's sizzling.
So it's getting hot.
Mm-hmm.
So he pulls it off.
Mm-hmm.
And then, David takes the shot.
Yeah.
One little shot. Boom. He's down.
But they say that explodes their entire brain.
Yeesh.
That's what the whole thing was, that it explodes explodes the brain.
Okay. So
Lucy Lawless can't wait to see the Lady Bird movie.
Okay. Go Lucy.
Yay, Lucy!
That's her notification sound. It's Xena.
Huh?
Your notification sound.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Xena the Warrior Princess!
Uh-huh.
Ow.
And so, Xena and Goliath are saying their goodbyes.
They reconcile.
Yeah.
And Xena calls him her friend.
Mm-hmm. And that's it. The war is over.
It's funny because this episode we were talking about, because Goliath makes the comment of doing something for his friend, and I'm all, this is for my friend! And then when Xena says, I hope so, my friend, and I'm like, my friend. I mean, I like Xena, the show, but they had some cheesy lines. They had some cheesy lines in some places, and scenes,
Yeah.
But then you have, we close off with Xena walking through
the graveyard
again, and she's thinking. It's just her.
Mm-hmm.
And we all know, because of Xena mythos and whatnot, the dead can hear our thoughts.
Right.
So she's sending up the last few thoughts that she has for Goliath, and telling him that she hopes that he's with his family.
Uh-huh.
So, I liked Goliath.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
anyway, that wraps us up.
That's it.
Hopefully, pretty soon, which more details will come eventually, but Watch the Sky, that Renee O'Connor directed and produced, and she's in it.
Is she in it?
And Jed Sura's in it.
I wasn't sure she was in it.
And both of her children are in it as well.
Oh, okay.
So, you guys keep a listen out for that, because as soon as I know more,
we'll let you know.
We'll let you know. Alright?
Yeah.
Sweet.
Alrighty.
Okay.
That'll do it for this episode of the Babbling Bards podcast.
Next up, Girls Just Want to Have Fun.
Girls Just Want to Have Fun.
We're so excited. We're going to have a special intro.
Yeah, we are.
We're going to start trying to change our intro up a little bit.
I told you what I would like for that one.
I know.
Well, we should do the Well, you're just gonna have to wait and hear it.
I made it happen.
I know.
Alright.
Alright, guys.
So.
That's it.
That's it?
Yes.
We have nothing else?
I got nothing.
Okay.
You got anything?
No.
No? Okay.
There'll be some sort of a giveaway for girls just want to have fun.
Yeah.
We've yet to figure out how we're going to do the giveaway.
Yeah.
Because...
You don't know yet.
But we
we'll
want
let you
something
know.
where everybody can get involved.
Oh, yeah. Of course.
Yeah.
Okay.
So anywho.
Alright, guys.
You guys have a awesome day. Happy chakrams. Be a force for good. Do something nice for somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And, till next time. Babbling Bards.
Out.
Out.